Hey guys, happy Thursday. Time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So, went and got a 6-volt battery for this puppy today and put it in and hooked it up. And I had pretty much tested everything out before, but went and tested it all again, and everything is working fantastically. So you see there's the tail lights and semaphore. So normally these don't blink. So the trick is that somebody makes blinking LED bulbs that go in here. So the current coming to here is constant. The actual, there's no flasher unit in these. Let me turn this off. There's no flasher unit in these at all. And so somebody was clever enough to make a bulb that fits in these that has the flasher unit built into it. So everything else works fine. Normally the light on the dash just comes on and stays on, which is how these are. But then the bulb itself flashes on and off. So I like these a lot because I think it makes semaphores a little bit more cool. It's not correct per se, but I think it's kind of cool to see them flashing. And I think the other thing that it does is it makes other drivers in traffic recognize that this thing sticking out of the side of this weird ass old car is indicating, hey, this person is gonna turn this way, right? Because if the thing is just sticking up and illuminated but not flashing, I'm guessing most people either A, wouldn't notice it, or B, if they did, they just kind of scratch their head and have no idea what it meant, and probably not come to the conclusion that it's a turn indicator of any sort. So, yeah, those bulbs are available. CIP1 sells them, the Canada guys, and there's some other places that have them too. I think I've usually ended up ordering them from them. They're not cheap. I think this pair of them, I want to say, is maybe like 60 or 70 bucks. I don't remember. They're not cheap, but again, I think they're worth it just for safety alone. And again, I think they look cool. Not correct, but sometimes things that are not correct can be cool. But yes, everything on this car electrically was working now. Even the hilarious dome light, which does almost nothing if you're sitting in the front seat, but there it is in all of its dim glory. Yeah, what else? So you can see here, idiot lights. So on these are your two idiot lights here. So oil pressure and generator. And then these two are, oh, actually, okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. So his indicator for the semaphores is not working. So I got to check that out. Okay, so I found one thing now that doesn't work. The other little indicator here, assuming it works, which it did last time I checked it. Yeah, you can see it on now. So that's high beams, low beams, it turns off. So yeah, I got to see what's up with that. I thought that was working. Guess not. Okay, so I have one thing to fix, literally. That's not too bad. Because the wiring on this car, again, I've said it, it was kind of a mess. And so there was a lot of redundant wires and wires that were unused that had been hacked off and just kind of taped over and stuff like that. So I'm actually pretty pleased that there's only seems to be one thing on here that needs attention. Turn his headlights off before I drain his battery. There we go. So what else happened on this beauty today? So as you can see, its own honest-to-goodness front tires and wheels are on now. So I think I mentioned yesterday I was suspecting that his wheels and tires maybe didn't have inner tubes in them. So I took them over to the tire shop I used. They popped all the tires off the wheels. And oddly, all of them but one had an inner tube in it. And of course, or not surprisingly, the one that didn't have an inner tube in it was leaking. These wheels and tires are really not made to seal without an inner tube. They're made to use an inner tube. So I ordered an inner tube for this tire from our friends at Coker Tires. So that'll be in the mail here soon, and I'll have an inner tube put in that one. And then I've got to go and replace some clips that were broken. But yeah, I took 2 of the wheels that had all their clips and tubes and went ahead and mounted them on front. So I think the front now is pretty much done as far as the wheels and tires. I still have to do an alignment, but I'll want to get the car on its back wheels and settled and everything like that before I do that. But yeah, I adjusted the front wheel bearings, put the dust covers on, got the little speedometer cable sticking through this one with its little keeper on it. And I did very briefly fire it up today. There's no gas in the tank, but I just poured a little bit down the carb and fired it up just to make sure that, you know, the coil was receiving power and all that good stuff. And yeah, it fired right up when I poured a little gas in it. So tomorrow I may actually put gas in the tank and fire it up. And I don't know, who knows? I may throw a set of rear wheels on this thing and take it for a little parking lot cruise. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it is literally like that close. So that was mainly what I worked on today. This guy got its beautiful steering wheel from our friends at Koch's. And here it is. Beautifully recast steering wheel. I haven't put the horn button on it yet because I need to take the car for a quick spin and make sure that the steering wheel is aligned properly. And we have a nice looking horn button to go with it. So once the steering wheel is straight, then all this will go together and it's going to look amazing. So one of the last major pieces of this 58 convertible puzzle. Another last piece here is the door seals. So again, we like to use the Brazilian variety because they're a lot softer than the German ones, which are as hard as rocks. One of the few instances where we prefer Brazilian over German, but door seals all day. Give us the Brazilian ones. So that's what I got. So those need to go on. Line the steering wheel up, put the horn button on, and yeah, getting pretty close on this one. Only other major-ish thing I did today was on the 67 motor, the 1500 here. If you saw the video yesterday, you know that I ran this thing and did its cam break in. All that went well. And so today I drained the oil, I removed the sump plate, all that stuff. Everything looked fine. So put the sump plate back on. Next step is to add oil to it. And I will probably go ahead and fire it up and run it on the engine stand again and see if I can get the idle adjusted. You know, that stuff is just much easier to do outside of the car. So yeah, I will go ahead probably and do that and hopefully, you know, get the idle set and everything, at least as close as I can. The motor won't probably be as quite fully warmed up as it would as if I drove the car for a few minutes, but I can get it up to like a reasonable temperature and get things super close. And then we'll go ahead and put it in the car. So probably, I don't see, assuming this all goes well when I run and tune this, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be putting this motor in that car next week. So that should be pretty exciting for the owners to see this thing getting very, very close with a motor in it here, hopefully again next week. So yeah, that was kind of the other major thing that I did today. Jacob was in for a while today, and I'm not going to wander out there, but he basically pretty much single-handedly pulled the transmission out of the tennis ball, aka the 74 Love Bug. He pulled the transmission out, he pulled the CV axles out, he pulled the rear heater tubes out, pulled the starter, pretty much got everything in the back here, most everything kind of removed from that car. So, you know, we can start thinking about doing paint and body on it. So that was Jacob's afternoon. So yeah, that is it, guys. I appreciate you all watching. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again tomorrow.